What if prayer is not about convincing God to act, but about refusing to give up hope? What if persistence in prayer is not weakness, but quiet strength? And what if God's silence is not absence, but an invitation to trust more deeply? In Luke chapter 18, verses 1 through 8, Jesus tells a parable that goes straight to the heart of human struggle with prayer. It is a story spoken not to impress, but to encourage. Luke introduces it with rare clarity, telling us exactly why Jesus shared it, to show his disciples that they should always pray and not lose heart. This parable is not about technique or eloquence. It is about endurance, faith, and the character of God. Jesus begins with a simple setting. There is a judge in a certain town who neither fears God nor cares about people. This description is intentional. In Jewish thought, a judge was meant to represent justice, integrity, and accountability before God. This man represents the opposite. He is unmoved by righteousness and indifferent to human suffering. He has power, but no compassion. Then Jesus introduces a widow. In the ancient world, widows were among the most vulnerable members of society. Without a husband, they often lacked legal protection, financial security, and social standing. This widow has no influence, no wealth, and no leverage. All she has is her voice and her persistence. She repeatedly comes to the judge with a single plea: "Grant me justice against my adversary." We are not told the details of her case, because they are not the point. What matters is her refusal to stop asking. She returns again and again, pressing her case, not because she believes the judge is kind, but because she believes justice is worth pursuing. For a long time, the judge refuses. He ignores her. He dismisses her. Her persistence brings no immediate result. But eventually, something changes. The judge speaks to himself and admits that even though he does not fear God or care about people, this widow's constant appeals are wearing him down. He decides to grant her justice simply to stop her from bothering him. Jesus then turns the story outward. He asks his listeners to pay attention to what the unjust judge says. The argument he makes is striking. If even a corrupt, selfish judge eventually responds to persistence, how much more will a just and loving God respond to his chosen ones who cry out to him day and night? This is the heart of the parable. Jesus is not comparing God to the unjust judge. He is contrasting them. God is not reluctant. God is not indifferent. God does not need to be worn down. Yet Jesus affirms that persistent prayer matters, not because God is unwilling, but because prayer shapes the one who prays. Jesus assures his listeners that God will bring about justice for his people, and he will do it swiftly. But then he ends the parable with a question that shifts the focus from God's faithfulness to human faith. When the Son of Man comes, will he find faith on the earth? This final question reveals the deeper purpose of the parable. The issue is not whether God will act. The issue is whether people will continue to trust him while they wait. Persistent prayer is not about forcing God's hand. It is about keeping faith alive in the middle of delay. This story speaks powerfully to anyone who has ever felt unheard. Many believers struggle with prayer because they expect immediate answers. When answers do not come, discouragement creeps in. Doubt begins to whisper that prayer does not work or that God does not care. Jesus tells this parable to confront that exact moment. The widow does not stop because the judge is silent. She does not interpret delay as denial. Her persistence is not rooted in optimism about the judge's character. It is rooted in her conviction that justice matters. In the same way, persistent prayer is grounded not in circumstances, but in trust in who God is. There is also something deeply important about who the widow represents. She does not have power. She does not have influence. She cannot manipulate the system. Her persistence is her only weapon. Jesus is teaching that prayer is not reserved for the strong or the impressive. It is the lifeline of the dependent. This parable also corrects a misunderstanding about unanswered prayer. Silence from God does not mean God is absent. Delay does not mean rejection. Waiting is not wasted time. In waiting, faith is tested, refined, and strengthened. Persistent prayer keeps the heart aligned with hope instead of despair. Jesus' assurance that God will bring justice is especially meaningful in a world filled with injustice. Many wrongs go unaddressed. Many prayers seem to echo without response. This parable reminds believers that God sees what others ignore, and he hears what others dismiss. Justice may not arrive on our schedule, but it is never forgotten. The question Jesus asks at the end is unsettling because it shifts responsibility back to the listener. Will faith endure when answers take time? Will trust remain when circumstances do not change? Will prayer continue when hope feels thin? Persistent prayer is an act of resistance. It resists despair. It resists cynicism. It resists the temptation to give up. Every prayer offered in faith is a declaration that God is still sovereign, still just, and still attentive. This parable also invites reflection on how we view prayer itself. If prayer is seen only as a tool to get results, it will quickly become frustrating. But if prayer is understood as relationship, as dependence, as an ongoing conversation with God, persistence becomes natural rather than forced. Jesus does not promise that prayers will always be answered in the way we expect. He promises that God is righteous and attentive. The widow's story encourages believers to keep showing up, to keep asking, to keep trusting, even when the outcome is uncertain. In many ways, this parable prepares believers for seasons of waiting. It teaches that faith is not proven by quick answers, but by continued prayer. It challenges the idea that strong faith means never questioning or struggling. True faith is often quiet, stubborn, and patient. Luke 18:1-8 is not a call to louder prayer, longer prayer, or more impressive prayer. It is a call to faithful prayer. Prayer that does not quit. Prayer that continues even when emotions fluctuate. Prayer that trusts God's character more than visible results. The widow's victory does not come from power, but from perseverance. In the same way, spiritual endurance often matters more than immediate success. God honors faith that remains steady in uncertainty. As listeners today, we are invited to see ourselves in this story. We are the ones crying out for justice, healing, direction, or peace. We are the ones tempted to lose heart when answers delay. Jesus tells this parable so that we do not stop praying and so that we do not stop believing. The final question lingers intentionally. When the Son of Man comes, will he find faith? Not perfection, not certainty. Faith that keeps praying, faith that keeps hoping, faith that refuses to walk away. Thank you for watching this video. If this message encouraged you to persevere in prayer, please like the video, follow the Holy Path Insights channel, and share this message with others who may need hope today. Stay connected as we continue exploring the teachings of Jesus together.